Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. I'm your host Dan Jones, joined as always, four-time national road champion from Australia, Johnny Trevorrow, and it's another bonus episode because we're coming live Tuesday night. We normally go Thursdays at 6:30, but if he was really keen to get a couple of special guests on tonight, we've got Benny Kersten, who's managing director of the Australian Cycling Academy, who are absolutely killing it in 2022, and Matt White, head sports director from BikeExchange Jayco, who's going to give us an update on the season. And in true Iffy style, we've sent Whitey the link, and he said, nah. I told John I've got coaches meeting. So, John, we're live.
We're supposed to tape him a bit earlier, evidently. Damn. Well, it's hard. One of my good mates, Steve Andrews, one of the great cyclists of years ago, just arrived up here at the Gambia. We've had a couple of beers, and I missed that text from Whitey. So
apologies.
We can discuss it. Apologies. Good of you to look after me like that, Dan, and not throw
Mate, I've got to talk to the fourth wall. I don't want people to think I'm behind these logistical nightmares. I've got to bloody tell them how it is to cover my own skin. That's how we roll on the Detour. But that just puts pressure on Benny Kersten because he's going to have to really carry the show. And lucky he's a good storyteller. So yes. What can you say about Benny? Give us a bit of an intro before we bring him on.
Well, before we talk about what he's now doing with this great cycling academy team that they got going, he was one of our great track riders. There are Commonwealth Games champion, won the gold medal Commonwealth Games in the kilo. Second in the world, I think he was world junior champion. He might have been 2 years world junior time trial champion, and then second in a world senior, and then went over to the road and was a very good road rider. I think he was involved in that whole V Australia thing that all fell over in the end, and that might have been the end of it all. But yeah, a sensational bike rider. And he and Matty Wilson together have made this amazing team. There they are, the boys, best mates, happen to marry twin sisters, which is all works well.
Well, that can go two ways. They can either bring them together or split them
gorgeous
up.
Girls. Absolutely gorgeous girls. And they're up on the Sunshine Coast, and they've done an amazing job, and we'll get him on to talk about that. So the Australian Cycling Academy, and here's Benny and his brother Joshy. Got the two of them together.
The Kersten boys.
Really one at a time. So now we've got Josh on as well. So Josh was like, he was the Ben Kersten before Ben Kersten. Was it 3 years between you guys? 4 years?
Oh, we're a bit more. Maybe 5 years.
5 years. So Ben was our top kilo rider. I think you only got a bronze medal in the Com Games, but you're up there.
Well, you got a bronze medal at the Com Games, John.
That's all I got. Medal? That's all I got. Oh, I got lost in dispatches. Yeah, but it was our big kilo man, and then in the next 4 or 5 years later, along come Benny. So it's great to see you two together. And you don't catch up a lot. So I know that, Benny, you've driven up from after the Warnie, got up to the whole home area, up you're up in
Southern Highlands.
Southern Highlands at the moment. But you guys are originally from
Wollongong. We're from Wollongong.
Wollongong, yeah, where the World Championship's going to be. You know all about that. We'll talk to.
Brad McGee's just popped his head in as well.
Well, they're at Brad McGee's house, and Brad has just walked in the door, so we'll get him involved as well.
Well, Matt White out, Brad McGee in.
Yeah, we've got a trio.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that. We'll leave Brad out for a moment because we'll get him on in a minute talking about what's going on.
The shower and stuff, so you can come back when you're ready.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. But let's go back to this team of yours, Benny. It's been going super well this year. You know, from every race you've done, from Bay Crits onto the Tour Down Under or the Santon Cycling Festival, Nationals, all of this. And now Tour of Gippsland just last week. But the big one, the Warnie on the weekend, you managed to snaffle both the men's and women's Warnie. So just tell us a little bit about that great form that you've got right now.
Yeah, look, this is our fourth season. We started
from scratch, and it was heavily development based. A lot of our riders, the majority of our riders relocate to the Sunshine Coast and go to university. It's like a holistic sort of based program. So anything like this does take time to get momentum and traction. And last year we did in COVID, especially, we did a lot of sort of soul searching and restructuring and figured out sort of where we wanted to be and how we wanted to be. And we'd had 3 years of pretty good success. We won the nationals with Freeburg and many international UCI races, which was good. But there are more sprinklings on a development program. And we've come out this year and Bay Crits and then nationals, we won 6 out of 18 gold medals, and then 2 down under won a stage each, and Angus on Wollonga on the Queen stage, and then Gippsland we really dominated there as well, and then finishing off with the Warnie and Cam Scott attacking at 2K to go.
We're watching vision of that right now. For those who were on podcast, wouldn't see any of that.
It was an amazing
But it was
ride.
a great. Whoa! He nearly fixed. He nearly fixed Jones up on the line.
He had 20 meters lead at 1 meter to go, and a meter after the line they were past him. So he hit it that hard with 2K to go. It was phenomenal. And then on top of that, we're very privileged to win the first ever women's Warnie. So that's an historical one for us. It meant a lot with Maeve Plouffe. She's on fire at the moment. She's untouchable.
Well, I've got highlights at the final there as well, Iffy. So I can just scroll back to the key
It was a fantastic race, actually. The Warnie now has really come to life with what they've done. So congratulations to Cycling Australia and to or Oz Cycling as they are, and Karen Jones and all those. But here's the finish here. And you see, look, there's Maeve sitting there, second wheel. I think that was national champion.
And she sprints pretty much in the seat. That's the thing that everyone was talking about. Like, it's not a traditional sprinting style, Benny.
Yeah, she's super powerful, and coming from the track, you're always in that aero position and you're used to producing power in the seat. As you know, getting out of the seat breaks that aero profile, and she's always on aero bars. So that's what she's good at, and people just can't come off her wheel. But in the Warnie, she did, in fact, lead out, for a few hundred meters and then was able to get out of the seat. So after 170K or so, to be able to get out of the seat for her, you show her road legs are just really growing. She's had time away from the track. She's been winning all this road. And that's what I found when I switched to road. In the beginning, the first year, I couldn't get out of the seat at the end. And when I found my road legs, being able to really start getting out of the seat at the end, and you can see that happening with her. But I think the great thing about that race was they averaged about 36 kilometres an hour, and there was 45-kilometre gust headwinds straight on the nose for the last hour. So it was an exciting race, and it was a privilege to be part of it.
I was going to say, Benny, do you find that the results that you're getting now, and I saw interviews with you at Tour of Gippsland saying that, this primarily was a development team, but we're seeing in world cycling, these young riders are just killing it. Normally you do your apprenticeship and, you get to your peak at sort of 25 to 28. Is this a reflection of the results that you're getting, what's happening globally, and why do you think these young guys are just smashing it, pretty quick in their careers?
Yeah, look, I'd hate to make assumptions, but obviously over the last bunch of years, there's the doping issues and stuff have settled down, and young riders aren't being forced to keep up with these Lance Armstrongs and people like that, and they're just phenomenal talents, and they're investing in the future as young athletes, but they're able to challenge at such a young age. You see Sky, the amount of young riders they're signing, and we've noticed the shift. We had under 23 riders, but by the time they're developed with us, they're into elites and they're too old to get picked up by teams. So teams are looking at under 19s now, and they want to jump on them by under 23s. So we're really shifted as well. We've got 5 under 19s in the team now, and that's a heavy focus for us. But yeah, the landscape's changed and it's shifted forward, and we were sort of not ahead of the game, but at least on par with it. Maybe ahead of some people, but that's what's happening. And yeah, our juniors are already being spoken to by pro teams. So yeah, we're really in line with what the trends are happening.
And I'll tell you what, I was very impressed with Maeve. I never can say her Christian name right, but Plouffe, because we know her track background. So a lot of people are saying, oh, the shorter races suited her, whatever. Well, this is the longest women's road race in the world, the new Warrnambool Women's Classic. So she proved that it's not just a short distance. She can beat them on any terrain. And she's very impressive. She's strong and fast. So she definitely got a chance to move up to World Tour, wouldn't you think?
Oh, 100%. It's her choice, I believe. She's invested in track and she wants to be an Olympic champion, and the way she's going, she can be. So I think anyone in that situation, it's their choice how long they stick with track and when they turn to road. So you see a lot of the track guys, O'Brien and Welsford now just finally deciding enough's enough on the track, and then they go straight to pro, and then they start earning their money and set their career away. May's proven that at any time she can do that. As you said, longest race in the world, was in a 5 or 6 woman break, and still managed to win the sprint in heavy winds. Obviously, it's a challenging race. It wasn't easy, so pro teams can see that, and it will definitely be up to her and how long she wants to persist with track.
Now, with the program, obviously we've seen in the past guys like Michael Drapak that had about obviously being a bike rider, but what you did off the bike and was really big on education and things like that. Now, you guys, obviously I know Matty Wilson pretty well, and I remember when he was telling about the concept in the early days, he was like, no, this is a holistic approach, because that understanding that as a bike rider, how important is that balance on the bike and off the bike?
Yeah, 100%. There's so many burnouts and so many issues with young athletes that don't make it, or even ones that do, that don't have a balanced life or an educational backup. And that was the main ethos of the program. We didn't want to go world tour. We didn't want to dominate. We wanted to give riders, another backup in life, and we wanted to nurture them better and almost make them feel loved and appreciated, give them a set of life skills. So a lot of our experience, particularly when you're out and you're on your own, and then you spend the next 5 years soul searching with our riders, whether they they move on from the team through misselection or they just want to retire, they'll have university degrees, and it's all on good terms. And it's their choice, and they know where they're going in life. And 24 out of our 26 men and women are at university, and they're just really solid, structured people, have a great environment around them. We've got some great staff, men and women staff, and we've got a great system at the University of the Sunshine Coast. We have psychologists and strength and conditioners and nutritionists, and we're doing our very best to just look after them as a total package. Matt Wilson has a management company now for the riders, so the riders in our team get that ability to have him and his partners search for them into World Tour teams. We're not just writing random emails. So it is a whole round package, and they are on a pathway. And we've turned a couple of riders pro per year the last 2 years, and we're looking to even increase that more.
Now, Josh, I saw you nodding your head when we asked that question. What's your involvement in the program, mate?
Not that much, really. I haven't actually seen Ben in a long time. And the thing is, this catch up here, we've been trying to plan for about a month now, and it's just come together. But, he's extremely busy, does a lot of travel. COVID hasn't made things easy in terms of us connecting. As much as we'd like to get to the Sunshine Coast, we've moved the holiday 3 times, and hopefully back up there at Easter. But not huge involvement. But look, I'm hugely supportive, and as we all are. But they're doing some really good things, and I think we were involved years ago with the Illawarra Academy of Sport, and we've had a lot of riders come through that program, which we've moved up. Including Caleb Ewan, who's from this area as well. And just seeing that involvement and what it can do to bring those young riders up. But yeah, they're doing some great things.
Joshy, I can remember you riding back in the old days, and you were one of the few riders of that era who used to come and have a beer with me. So we clicked pretty well. I can remember that. But looking at it from now,
Still on
a couple of yeah, I know, I've noticed. It's a couple of generations later. What have you seen the difference in like the track programs and what's happening in Australia now compared to your day?
Oh, look, things were pretty different when I was riding, through the, I guess you call it the Charlie Walsh era. And Brad and I used to race together and we were roommates for many years. But things were very different, although we were professional or amateur, if you want to call it, but we were full-time bike riders. I've seen a real swing in terms of the way that riders are these days, so much more professional. They focus, they look after themselves. They're focused on their career. It is very, very different. If I see Ben's riders, it's chalk and cheese compared to how we were years ago. Although we had great success, but that's probably why you're seeing these young riders, like you're saying, transitioning and going so well from a young age. Very, very different sport now. Yeah, very different.
Is one of the issues, Benny, like, okay, you've got two distinct categories here. You got the men's and you got the women's. Now, obviously, things have, they're progressing pretty well from the women's scheduling point of view and more coverage, and we've got base wages and so forth now. But it feels like on paper there's probably a bit more pressure on the women's side to have that balance, to have that degree, because it used to break my heart when you see these riders that are putting in the same hours as the men's, but they just weren't getting the financial support, which would mean if that falls over, you don't have that nest egg that if you were a male rider getting good coin, you've got that backup so that you can go, all right, well, I've got a couple of years to sort out what I want to do.
Yeah, I guess it's a double-edged sword, and everyone's fighting for equality, including us, and women's cycling is growing in leaps and bounds. You see the televisation now and like the women's warning and minimum wages, growing teams and bigger teams. We've got young riders now being asked to come over, and I used to sort of look at it in the other way, where women are peaking at like 30 and they can ride to 40. Some women can start riding at 35 and turn pro. So I used to think, oh, geez, that'd be nice. You could get your career sorted, your education sorted, and then go on to cycling. And if it doesn't work out, which happens just as much as the men, they come back home and they can continue on their life path. And you see there are not many women that were committing suicide and going off the rails after retirement compared to young blokes, because they were getting picked up at 17 and 18 and then dropped at 22, and then they just go into this spiral. So I used to think it was a great thing that women could still be picked up at a later age, but I also think it's a great thing now that they have the option at a younger age as well. But I think in general, women are just more switched on and able to go and set their sights and balance both. Most of them are doing both. And it's not always about the money. They're better at doing that in general. But as I said, the landscape's changing.
Interesting you say that, Benny. Do you think part of it, there was no expectations from the women? They didn't expect to be getting a big wage. So when things didn't happen, they always knew that they were going to have to do something else straight after, because there was never going to be that big nest egg.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess that's why they're fighting for equality too, because they are working as hard and they are as talented, and they're not getting paid. So they did have to set the plan B up. So I guess that's why that's happened. But I guess at the end of the day, it's benefited them in their longevity in life compared to men.
If we were going to take a quick drinks break, because I know Josh is dying of thirst. And
just before you do, I was going to say, before we move off the water ball, because I was just going to say, I was very impressed with Cam Scott. I remember I was standing there about half an hour before the finish, talking to Mike Tomalaris, actually, who was up there working on the event. And I picked Cam to win, but I thought I actually picked 1, 2, 3. But I thought it'd be a bunch finish. But the way he jumped away and won it on his own was very impressive. And he is someone who definitely should be going World Tour. He's got all the attributes. I can't believe now they haven't picked him up. I was going to put the hard word on Whitey when he came on, but I stuffed that up. But anyway, we'll do that later. But no, I think he's got.
A Wollongong boy too.
Yeah, well, he's a fullback. I thought he was a Wagga boy originally.
He's from Wagga and he moved to Camden. And then Josh and I sponsored the Illawarra Academy of Sport many, many years ago. And Cam was one of the first athletes. And then when I retired, I became a coach for N-Swiss, and he was one of my athletes in the sprint program. So we developed him as a track sprinter with the idea that he would convert to endurance later on and have this great power underneath him. Then he went into the track program trying to go to the Olympics, and aged out through that under-23 period as a track rider. So when he switched to road, he was already out of the under-23s with no road results. So we all know him as the biggest talent in Australia on the road, but pro teams see 4 years of no road results. He's won a stage of Tour of Qinghai Lake, by the way, 250K at 3,000 metres on a track program.
He was 20, I think, then.
Yeah, doing track 4-kilometre efforts. So he's a freak. But they're like, why is it so patchy? You tell them the story, they say it's too old. But I think now, and then as soon as he left the track program, he had a horrible crash in Tweed and fractured his pelvis. So he's on the comeback from that, and now he's unstoppable. So if you get a team that understands that history and why he's where he's at, they'll really understand the talent that he is. And I think people are understanding that now. And I don't know, I'll be willing to bet my house that he'll be pro next year.
And also, if you pay attention to the answers, Matty Wilson's managing a lot of these riders now. He knows Whitey really good. He'll get it sorted. You don't need to step in all the time. Anyway,
Iffy, you have a go as well. It takes a few people sometimes.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, let's have a drinks break. We'll be back more with Benny and Josh, and hopefully Brad McGee has had a shower. So we might be able to check in with him. Righto, mate.
All right, see you lads.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. BikeExchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Are you dreaming of the ultimate cycling holiday? Mumu Cycling is the best in the business. Official tour operators for all Grand Tours and Monuments, you will ride the best climbs. Enjoy VIP access and race viewing, all hosted by some of the world's best pros, including 17-time Tour de France rider and Paris-Roubaix champion Stuart O'Grady. Start planning your ultimate holiday at www.mumucycling.com.
Thanks to Bike Exchange and Mumu Cycling. Now, if you've got some notes for Mumu, we've only got 2 spots left for the Classics, and there's some big names that are going to be over there with them.
Seriously, I mean, this is the trip of a lifetime.
Listen to this lineup.
You've got Stewie O'Grady, who knows a little bit about it, right? Paris-Roubaix. They're doing the official rides. They're doing the Paris-Roubaix Grand Fondo and the Amstel Gold, because they've changed the date of some of those things. But these are some of the so you've got 2 places, and it's guaranteed. A lot of the tour groups at the moment are worried about that. To say, hopefully, this is guaranteed. They're going. Only 2 spots left. This is some of the guests you will mix with. Eddie Merckx, one of the slicks. I can't remember whether it's which one it is, but
we'll throw them both in. They'll both be there.
One of them is definitely there. Tom Boonen and Johan Museo, Mr. Tour of Flanders. So these are sensational guys. And you don't just meet them, but you sit down with them, you have a drink with them, and they tell stories. And Stewie and Tom Boonen will swap some stories. So it'll be something really special. So if you can get over there for the classics, it's not that far away. It's only like 6 weeks, but jump in and do it. It's going to be sensational.
Yeah. And the Giro, they're doing the first week as well.
They are. So a big push on the first week of the Giro. So led by the great Moo group and John Trevorrow. Evidently, I've been thrown in on the mix.
Oh, wow.
Well, that could be a detriment. But anyway, it will be a lot of fun. So right from the start in Budapest, I haven't been to Budapest. I'm looking forward to going to Hungary. 3 days up there and then fly down to Sicily. And then continue on for the rest of the week right through and up Mount Etna in Sicily. It's going to be amazing. And this is what I say. So it's a small group guaranteed. So it's going to be really something special. Inner sanctum access, ride the actual race course on closed roads, luxury accommodation, 5-star, not a JT one, full support. So feel like a pro with the team car behind you, guaranteed departure and travel with the official tour operator. So you're going into the, all the official part at the end, get up on the podium. Amazing. It's going to be something special. Same with the Tour de France. And they're also working on a special women's Tour de France for the Tour de Femme, as it will be called, which I'm going to be doing, which I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be something else. 8 days, starting on the final day of Tour de France and finishing on the Planche de Belleville. So they're just working on that now. So all the details of that will be coming real soon.
Yep.
So Marcel, who's an amazing operator, moocycling.com. So MU cycling.com. So make sure, jump on and have a look at it all. But it's going to be amazing.
It's a no-brainer. If you can do it, you might as well do it. All right, we're back, and Brad McGee looks fresh out of the shower. Boys, welcome. What's happening?
Hey.
Do you know how a podcast works? You can't have private conversations and not allow us to join in.
Why not? So we have our special guest, Brad McGee. Well, it's his house. So they've just dived in and staying on Brad's good hosting as he does. But Bradley, how's it going, mate?
It's going really well. I'm curious, those curtains, are you like in a velodrome, like at a 6-day, the old 6 days, they had the little
in a
curtains?
bunker.
Yeah, is that?
I'm at Nagambie, but normally I can open it up and then there's a beautiful Lake Nagambie out in the background. So I'll open it up. Hang on. There we go.
Well, hang on. Hang on, Brad. We're looking at your background. There's a bit of a gold tinge there in the kitchen. Is that a tribute to Athens?
How's that?
No, not in this. No, I did the
can't see anything.
And decorating in here, so be careful, be kind.
No, I think it looks good. But I think it's just a way of people going, oh, gold. Are you a gold medalist? It just all comes back to being a bit of a big head.
I wasn't shooting for that angle. I'll go with
it. So tell us, like the property that you've got up there, you're obviously a guy that's passionate about the land. What sort of a setup are you running out there, Brad?
Absolutely. So I'm more than a hobbyist in permaculture. We're trying to really make sure this place is sustainable. So what's that mean? It actually starts producing more than it's taking. We've got a few things going on. We're part of Land for Wildlife, which just gives us access to a bit of knowledge, really, so we can manage the place a lot better. It's 50 acres. We border the national park. We've got a few bit of farming going on. It's more a hobby. And some lovely cottages on the property, which people come down and spend some time in the bush. Good old Aussie bush.
Is that the secret to keeping that radiant look? Organic veggies.
I'm pumped. Yeah.
That's it. Got a nice glow to the skin, mate. It's great.
I'm sure you got a lot of people knocking on your door about the Worlds, which are coming up. You'll be because you're not that far. How far from you down in Wollongong?
Yeah, it's about an hour drive. You'll be on the start finish line. I have blocked the whole place out for a couple of weeks. Expecting a few, these types and friends and family extended to next visit.
My house is right on the course, so I'm
That's
sure
right,
I'll
yeah.
have a lot of visitors.
I'm sure you will. It's going to be
Awesome.
sensational. I know that Moo actually, who we're working with now, have actually got the accommodation rights for the world. So they've got a big package about to be announced, which we're going to be working with them. The deal was that they had to give Dan and I the number
Royal
one room, Royal Suite, exactly. Working on that, but I have shared a room occasionally with Brad McGee, but he snores too loud.
Oh, hang on, John. Hang on, John. I've shared rooms with you, John. I remember I've still got the mental scars from 2005 Tour de France where I walked in on John giving himself a Belgian shower, and he had one foot on the basin.
What are you going to
and
say?
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Mate, Belgian shower. It's just a face washer and gets the same job done." And I think his plan was to just fold it up and put it next to the basin. But I've still got that mental image burned into my head. But on a serious note, Brad, we're talking with obviously Ben and Josh earlier about this support for particularly young cyclists and almost preempting problems that can happen throughout a career. How difficult was it for you when you're so used to a routine as a professional bike rider, that period when it stops?
I think I was quite fortunate there, Dan. The lifestyle didn't change a lot. Slipping straight into the sports director car. We were still living in Monaco, Shani, my wife, and our young family at the time. So things didn't change a lot. It actually probably took me away from home a bit more. And then there was a slow move back to Australia. And then, I've settled into more coaching roles and less time on the road. So it was a slow transition for me. I was quite fortunate that was able to take place. What does change though is that physical exertion. You crave it, just going out and fully extending yourself on the bike is what you crave, and you just don't get the opportunity or the fitness anymore to actually do it. And we're laughing before, but I say farm fit. That's my expression now. I get out there and get on the shovel, on the chainsaw, or whatever it is, and I get somewhere close to that physical exertion, which you still crave well into retirement.
Well, on the flip side, you would have seen so many bike riders really struggle when their career's finished. And it must have been heartbreaking for some of these guys that you could have almost set a watch, because I saw it as well in my time at Green Edge. Some guys that you're like, geez, I'm worried when this finishes. And the way their lifestyle is, this is going to be pretty soon. But there wasn't anyone around them to pull them aside and go, listen, mate, you need to start thinking about this stuff right now.
Yeah, that's it. And I think there's some opportunities in that. I think as our men and women are retiring from their careers, there's also a need for our next wave to be mentored and guided and supported. And I think there's some a real win-win in that approach. It does take a bit of coordination, facilitation. Gone where I had high hopes that sort of thing could happen organically. But my belief is now it just needs to be structured in some sort of way. And like I said, it can be mutually beneficial.
Iffy?
I was just going to say, one of my favourite tours was back in the Giro when I had the detour crew, and we were following. There was Brad and Matty Wilson and Baden Cook in the FDJ team, and lucky enough to stay in the same hotel a few times. We had an absolute magnificent 3 weeks. But going back from that, so in my day there wasn't 10 English-speaking riders in the European peloton, maybe 3 Aussies. In your time, there was probably a dozen, but not much more, a few more. What do you think now, Bradley, when you're looking at it and you're seeing something like 30 to 40 Aussies riding World Tour and Pro Conti? It's staggering,
awesome, isn't it? Yeah. It is staggering. I mean, my time, I can remember spending a lot of time down the back of the peloton, congregating with the Aussies and and others that could understand Nick Gates and his jokes, because that was a place to be. It was awesome. Now they've got to come up with a choice for where they're hanging out with in the peloton. It must be crazy for them. But it is a game changer now. Like just in the language itself, English took over the peloton many years ago. A lot of sort of American, US style business operations in the way those teams are operating. I really feel for the young men and women now in the pros. It seems to be a lot less freedoms. There's a lot of control. There's a lot more expectations out of their performances on a daily. What I'm saying is, where's the room for magic? Where's the room for that? Expressing yourself and finding a new level. It just seems to be a little bit too controlled. But how they find and express themselves in amongst that world now is a real challenge, I reckon. And the season is so long. There really is no off season. The careers are longer and the seasons are longer. It's just full on for these young men and women.
Now, we had Rory Sutherland on the potty a couple of months ago now, and
Awesome.
he talked about a few interesting things, and one of the things was around he doesn't want to carry guys in the Australian program that don't have that passion to wear the jersey, and his concern was clear that has died off quite a bit. Now, you've represented the country on numerous occasions, same with yourself, Benny, but do you think that there is a bit of a cultural...
And Josh, don't leave Josh out.
Well, sorry, Josh, my research on this show is terrible. So all three of you have represented the green and gold. But do you think that there's something that needs to tweak? Because you have got these guys in the Pro Tour that are on massive money, massive contracts. They've all got egos. They all want to win. How do you turn that culture around so that Australian cycling on the world scene are just dominating? Because we're seeing that in the Pro Tour ranks, but how do we get that click?
Yeah, I think it has been discussed. It'll be interesting to see what the boys think. A great idea came out of the last couple of national teams I was involved with, and some of the boys were talking about this very thing. They're keen to get involved with junior development, but there's also how do you maintain that sense of pride in pulling on the Aussie jersey. And there's some ideas around maybe actually acknowledging where you sit as a new member to the Australian cycling team. I'm going to use the connection to cricket. They have the baggy green in the presentation. Rugby, they'll have old rugby stars ringing up the new recruits, saying, welcoming to the team, you've been selected, and just joining that connection between what has been and what will be in the future. I think there's things we can actually do around that. As again, what I was talking about before, the seasons are longer, the expectations are longer. It is going to become more and more difficult for our young Aussies to commit professionally to the national team representation. So what can we do to augment that, the pride and the valour in actually donning that jersey? I reckon there's things to be done.
Well, given I've flicked you before, Josh, what's your opinion on all of that, mate?
It's interesting. It's very true. Like, I know when I was a junior, it was all you wanted to do as a junior was to represent the country and go to the junior worlds. And I think it was a double-edged sword because everyone pushed and trained so hard to make a junior representative team going to the junior worlds. And then there was a lot of burnout. We lost a lot of young athletes after that point, just the way that the national team was structured at the time. But it was a huge thing for us back then. It was a huge amount of pride. But again, I was a track sprinter as well. So I really, that was all I had to look forward to, really. I couldn't turn pro, and I was never going to be a road rider. But so for me, it was great representing the country. But I can see, on the other hand, with the road professionals, they're getting paid good income. Their teams are very, they're dominating, and they want them to come back and represent the team, and letting them go away for Worlds or Olympics and train with national teams. And again, it's changed. It's changed a lot. But I love putting on the green and gold. There's no doubt about that. But that was what I did.
Still squeeze into it every now and then, do you, Josh?
No.
If he,
it's funny, and even going back before that, Joshy, as you would know, it was also to get into a state team and to wear, for me, the big V, but you to wear the New South Wales blue. That was really something special to make a state team.
Oh,
Matter of
well.
fact, my first state team, when I was 20, was when I won the Australian road title. I could never get in as a junior or anything before. So just to make a state team was very, very hard back in those days.
I think it's important for us to acknowledge that, that maybe some athletes are struggling to commit to the Aussie teams, but there's some athletes out there who are just die hard, ready to actually, murder themselves for the green and gold. You look at Luke Durbridge's ride in Tokyo. That was no mean feat, coming in late from the tour and just totally turning himself inside out. And it's only one of many, many examples, and including in our women's team. There's athletes out there that it's all about the green and gold, and they'll do what they can to manipulate their pro contracts and sports directors to be there. So there is some really good examples.
You see as a whole now, though, as well, where Australia's gone with their investment in the development and the youth, and what Simon Jones did to our junior program, and there's no junior worlds teams anymore, and then road teams want juniors. So it's like, all right, Australia's not investing in juniors, world teams are. Why would I wait around for a country that's not investing in a junior when a pro team could take me and I could set my career up? And then they get well in their way, and then they're good enough to represent Australia, and they've lost that already, or they pick a 30-year-old that's been dominating in the Tour de France and on the world scene. So where we had those juniors that were all about the green and gold for 5, 6, 7 years, and then switched to a road career, now they're phased out and they're too late. Plus, they can't represent Australia at that age because Australia's not taking them. So I could see an obvious reason right there.
Well, it must be even more. I was going to say, it must be even more frustrating for you, Benny, knowing how important it is for this development at the grassroots of young cyclists.
Yeah, well, first we lost road investment when Brad employed me at N-Swiss for road. CA stopped investing in road development. So then teams like us became more important, that we could develop not only road riders, but track endurance riders through that road program. And then you see they've gone and done it for track development as well. So unless you're elite adult track rider, they're not spending any money. But by that point, you're like, I'll go the road. So it's big red flags there.
So how do they turn it around? Is it money, or what is the solution to?
I think what Benny's saying there, and I'll attest to this. The athletes we've had some difficulty inviting, enticing back in or encouraging back into national teams at elite level, are often the ones that are disgruntled from their junior years, where they missed it. Something just didn't go. They felt they weren't supported, and they have this sort of legacy of angst against the national team. Not towards generally an individual, but just cycling Australia would be there. So maybe some of this, the solution here is actually doubling down and making sure at a junior level, under 19s, that experience is at the optimal level, as good as it can be.
Iffy?
I was going to ask you, Bradley, while we're talking about some of that. Being a local, where you are, just up from Wollongong, and you know the circuit very well, where the world's going to be, what do you think of the chances for Caleb Ewan?
He can do it. Yeah.
You've been very involved with him. Yeah.
It will not be easy, but it is doable.
He can definitely do it. Yeah.
Well, let's not piss him off until it starts, so he rides.
No, it's interesting because we still haven't heard the exact circuit yet. We know the loops that's doing, but we don't know when the big loop's going to be with that big hill. Are they going to bring that in late? We don't know. Hopefully not. But it's
proven in the past he'll ride through brick walls if there's a sniff of victory, and there's a big sniff right here. So you'll do what it's.
I was on the technical advisory board for that, Iffy. So when we hang up, I'll tell you.
Well, it's been interesting. No one can tell us. We've been, talking with Scotty Sunderland, and he said, we're going to wait for the UCI to finalise which circuits they have overall. But then I hear other people telling me it's already been decided. They're just not saying it. So I would assume they're going to come down from Helensville or wherever it is, do the big loop, and then do the small loop. If that's the case, I give Caleb a big chance.
I'll back Caleb no matter what the combination of those three components are. I'll back him to get through it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys are connected for the inner sanctum in New South Wales, and let's be honest, Victoria and New South Wales, we don't like each other. We're paranoid from a Victorian point of view, that if this thing goes too good, you're going to take the bloody Nationals off Ballarat. Is there a plan in place to capitalise on this Worlds at Wollongong?
I reckon
And are
you
you going to
need to get
steal it?
Need to get Renshaw on. He's the man that will take the bundle from Ballarat.
You're taking the Bathurst. You're taking the Bathurst. Yeah.
Why not?
That's it.
Why not? What about
That's
the
it.
Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, round Bathurst to be sensational. Yeah,
Bathurst
But,
Bakerits.
yeah, yeah. Now the Bakerits. Now, of you three, who hasn't ridden the Bakerits? Put your hand up. Who hasn't ridden in the Bakerits?
A few times.
I'd like to put my hand up, Iffy, but unfortunately,
That's right. Brad.
I remember having a few very creative contractual arrangements to ride the Bakerits, including
Creative
shares-
meaning I'm good for it.
Shares in a racehorse and a couple of chooks and. Actually, I don't think we've received the chooks yet. Thank you. I'm farming now. I've got somewhere to put them.
I do know a story about some riders that received a share in a racehorse to do the Bakerits and went to watch it, and it jumped the fence afterwards, broke its leg, and they put it down. So and it won. So they're like, we're on a winning here. Then jumped the fence, broke its leg. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
That was the horse that I was going to give Bradley to ride, but anyway.
I didn't get any shares in a racehorse. What happened?
You got flicked, mate. You're one of the few in a long list. But so Betty, back to what we're talking about with the program. I mean, what is the plan sort of moving forward in terms of this thing is clearly results, you're proving that on the road. What's the sort of growth plan for your program moving forward?
Look, a lot of that I really wouldn't like to discuss on here, but in general, just the results we're having now aren't particularly part of the plan, but it was more about, and we had some help from a really good friend who helped us really restructure and get our sites sorted for this year, and it's really paid dividends. And it was all about just stripping it back down and being really athlete focused and focusing on each individual athlete and their plan and their future and their career. And then just the fact that that's all going well, and we reshaped our whole team ethics, and everyone's just 100% in as a team. They're feeling loved as an individual. They're getting all the support they need. And it's just all coming together. We all know what we're doing. We all know where we want to go. And then just the stepping stones now that we have in place. So the riders that are going all in and doing well are getting the results and they're getting contracts, and it's worthwhile, and they've got buy-in from us and the team, and they're seeing them get results and other people get results, and they're seeing the career pathway. And I think we're just going to keep growing that. We've got a few things in the cards that'll just continue that growth, not necessarily bigger, just better at what we're doing.
Mate, that's fantastic, but I will have one negative. Don't you ever say to us you're not willing to discuss this on the detail. When you show up on here, mate, it's full transparency. But I trust you. I'll let that one slip. Iffy, before we let these guys wrap up.
He's ringing his racehorse dealer to see if he can...
Yeah, he's trying to get another...
I was just apologising to Whitey, who just got stuck into me. But anyway, it's all good.
I've got a couple of live comments. Simon Knowles, best cycling podcast bar none. Checks in the mail, mate. David says, Iffy, were you on the bike track between Brimley and 13th this morning going so fast? All I saw was fluoro green, yellow flash. That couldn't have been you.
Definitely wasn't. I'm up at the Gambie.
No.
I do a flash now and again, but it's nothing to do with that. Yeah.
And Matt says, great potty, guys. Shout out to Blackburn Cycling Club. They have fantastic junior track road program.
So, Blackburn
Road, yeah.
Bring back the clubs. No.
The clubs.
No. Parramatta. Yeah, Parramatta. No, bring back the clubs.
It is important. You did right. You did right.
Bring back
Bradley. That's what it's about. That's exactly. Yep. No,
good idea.
There's a handful of clubs that are doing it so well. There's a few of them in Victoria, who nurture the youngsters, and like Brunswick, it's fantastic. They have all these junior developments. It's wonderful to see.
Victoria's been amazing with the junior clubs, I swear. Victoria's just pumping out amazing cyclists, great with their junior development, putting a lot into their clubs, and there's a lot of awesome Victorian riders now on the scene, and that's showing. Like, you put into the juniors and look what happens.
Yeah, that's what you guys are doing up there.
Every weekend we raced as juniors. We'll race as club. We go to Sydney, go to Tempe. We spent our whole summer every weekend racing. And that sort of set the scene, I guess, as juniors.
Yep. Shout out to everyone out there that's associated with the clubs, doing fantastic stuff. Any final questions?
Well, just talk about just how well the Aussies are going as this season is starting. It was great to see Simon Clark at his last minute call back into the World Tour, which he should never have left, and to see how well he's going now. I mean, it's sensational what he's doing. And he rang me last night, actually. It was just a WhatsApp call late in the evening. It was great to say he just got back from Italy and about to head up to the Classics. But he was actually, he said to thank you to Dan. He said that we helped him so much with the old Detour podcast.
We got him the contract. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Maybe not. But I'll tell you what he did say. He couldn't stop raving about the Factor bike. He said it's the best thing he's ever ridden. So
there you go.
The Factor boys will be very happy about that. They must be pretty good. But Bradley, just we've got all, Caleb's back in great form already. He's had a really solid win. Young Ben O'Connor, Jack Hay, these guys are this year is looking exciting. We're going to have some Aussies at the front end of the Grand Tours without any doubt. I'm asking you because I wanted you
commenting on this the other day.
Yeah,
we just can't wait for the season to start. The classics themselves, and then into the tours and the big build-up. And the more we can talk this through as it's coming up, and be attentive, who to look out for. I'm just the couch potato now watching these races, so I'll be leaning on you guys to get that inside info. Who's running hot and who to look out for. It just creates a much better experience, doesn't it? As the spectator.
Yeah.
That's it.
And good to see Quintana. He's back in form. He's had a couple of wins already, and everyone was wiping him off. He's gone to a second-tier team, but he's back in form. And young
contract year.
Evenepoel, he did a time trial the other day. Just I thought, wow, everything they've been saying about him, it's true. He's I reckon we'll really see what he can do this year. But I'm still going for Simon Yates to win the Giro. I reckon he's got it in him, and I reckon Simon will bring one in for BikeExchange Jayco.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay, I think, as well.
Is that me?
No, it's Brad's Wi-Fi.
We're having a few tech issues.
He spends more money on the chickens than the Wi-Fi. And that's understandable.
I've got to go out and back a generator.
Yeah, all good.
We're running on a satellite or something.
All right, well, thanks for joining us on the detour, guys. We'll check it again soon, and it'll probably be around accommodation because something will fall through at the last minute, and just set us up with a tent out the back, Brad, and we'll have a organic roast veggies, and you'll look after us, mate. It'll be great.
Me too.
You've interrupted my cooking here. I've got a whole table full of vegetables that we're roasting on the fire, so we can get going, boys.
Get back to it, boys. Thanks for joining us on the show, and all the best.
Guys.
Thanks,
Fantastic. Good to see you, Joshy.
And congratulations
mate.
on
It's been a
representing
while.
Australia, Josh. I'll never forget it.
Have a beer with the next time. No, thank you. It's a long time ago.
See you, boys.
Thanks,
See you
legends.
later. Oh, that was fantastic. Great insights there, Iffy. Great show. And they're doing some great work at Australian Cycling Academy. They're just going to go strength to strength. So, anything you want to add before we wrap things up, mate?
Three great guys. Oh, look, just don't forget for all our Detour family to click on, do all of the
Moo Cycling. That's important.
MooMooCycling.com,
Get
that's
those
very
last
important.
2 spots for the classics. If you want to go and rub shoulders with the biggest name in cycling, there's only one way to do it. MooMooCycling.com. And as I said in the last episode, if I could pick one race to go to, it's Paris-Roubaix. Hands down, Paris-Roubaix. Once you see that live, game changer. And as John said, youtube.com/the Detour Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your mates. We appreciate the support. Thanks to the guys on the show today, Brad, Josh, and Ben. And we'll be back again Thursday, 6:30. Do you reckon we'll get Whitey then, Johnny?
We will. We
We'll have
will.
to-
And we've got a very interesting guest on Thursday,
Mm-hmm. You told me, and I forgot who it is. Who is it?
Tim Decker. Now,
Tim
Timmy
Decker, that's right.
Who was a pretty handy cyclist himself, but's been the elite track guru with Australia, but he's jumped ship. He's going elsewhere. I know who it is, but he's not. I can't say it today because I think it's not being announced until tomorrow. But Thursday, we'll talk about it. I can tell you it's in Asia. Okay.
Loose lips, sink ships.
Loose
Who told you
lips,
that
sink
famous phrase?
Well, funny you say that because the ship and well, we won't go there, but
Okay,
that
all
could
right.
give you a little clue.
Righto. Tune in Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for the support, guys. We'll see you again soon.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de France.